Welcome to the Daily Exchange. Guys, we're here with the EOS, an actual EOS block producer, and we're going to tell you, is EOS going live in the next 12 hours? You'll find out from Nathan and Ty. It's live right now. We're going to do this whole show. It's going to be crazy. Stay right here. Tune in, guys. Welcome back, guys. Okay, so we're here with Nathan and Ty. Now, these guys are from GENEREOS. It's one of the candidate block producers of EOS. And right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, you've been up all night.
Close to it.
We've got a go, no go vote on the EOS mainnet launch. We've got lots of news coming out around China. EOS price has gone up quite a bit overnight as well. Really interesting stuff. Let's first start with, let's get into those topics, and then let's get into a bit of an update about where we're at.
Sure.
But first, do you guys just want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Nathan Rempel. I'm part of Team GENEREOS, an Australian EOS block producer candidate. Our big drive is to use these block production awards to give back to charity. That's what we're really passionate about. And I think that's what brought our whole team together. We have Tim, Ralph, Ty here, and Tom as well.
Cool. Tell us about yourself, Ty.
So I work on the community and content for GENEREOS. So we all bring something different to the table, and with the voting structure of EOS and the block production, we need a lot of community engagement and communication. So that's what I bring to the table. Nathan's in charge of smart contracts and infrastructure.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we've got Ralph, who's also in charge of sharing the infrastructure portfolio, and Tim's working on the strategy, and we've got Tom as well, and he works on marketing and branding.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So just let's talk about right now, guys. We've got some real news right now about EOS. So last night, tell us what happened. There was some news that came out. Nathan, tell us about that.
Right. So the structure that the EOS community set up was that basically 11 in the morning Australian time, I think that's 1300 UTC, there's been a go-no-go meeting every 24 hours. And then 12 hours after that would be the prospective launch meeting. And if there was a no-go, we have the meeting anyway and we discuss agenda items. So during that meeting last night at 11 p.m., we received some news from the Chinese community that's been working with one of the third-party security contractors that while there was no official report yet, the findings so far were that there were no major security vulnerabilities found, and that the Chinese community was going to be happy to go with the result that's just going to be decided basically right now. The call's going on right now, the no-go call right now, and that the whole community was going to stand by the decision made this morning.
So let's just a bit of background, guys. So Nathan's, and you guys, you're telling me that there's obviously a large portion of the EOS holders are from China. About 50%,
just about, maybe
50,
maybe more,
right?
A little bit more.
Okay, and and they've been doing a lot of smart contract auditing, and I know the security's been a major thing with EOS to making sure that it's secure, and a lot of people have been winning bounties and rewards, which is great healthy ecosystem in my personal view. This is not financial advice, guys, as well. None of this is financial advice. But that's my opinion. I think there's guys, real actively smart guys, obviously working on this. You guys are hardcore. I love it. And we've been listening in a little bit to the call that's currently going on. Nathan is currently on the call, guys. It's literally right here live. So there are lots of votes going on. It is happening right now. Just to give you an idea, right? So we'll give you guys an update as we're going on. But I want to take a step back. Because there's a few things that have been sort of, I guess, pausing the launch. And maybe, Nathan, can you give a bit of background, a bit of color in terms of where that's at? Obviously, security has been one thing, but I think there's a couple of other things that are interesting around RAM. Tell us about that.
Right. So basically, when the snapshot froze last week, right, a lot of the community was ready to get started right away, but a lot of the code from Block 1 had been changing right up to launch. You know, the Block 1 team had been pushing hard, and basically days before the snapshot was the final release candidate. And so that didn't provide a lot of time for the community to do, you know, final testing. You know, there had been test nets running for the last several months prior to that, but the code's constantly evolving, and the whole community you know, wanted to make sure that when we go live, there's a lot of money in this. You know, I'm not sure if it's like 12 billion market cap, and so everybody wants that to be safe and secure. So just taking the time to show a proper level of due diligence and rigor. And then the other big sort of polarizing issue and where there's sort of a lot of optics is RAM. EOS is pretty unique in that you actually purchase storage space. So unlike Ethereum, where you pay gas for your transactions, every transaction on EOS is completely free.
Right.
You just have to stake a quantity of EOS to purchase processing power and network bandwidth.
Right.
And that stake doesn't disappear, it doesn't dissolve, you can take it back anytime. That sort of just is a deposit that says you have access to this processing power. The other one is
Well, that's
RAM.
amazing. So let's pause on that for a second.
Sure.
So I think it's a major, major, major change and a major difference between the two systems, right? So you've got proof of stake from the start. You've got lots of RAM available. Is it how much RAM is available? How much, like how much can this scale?
Well, that's sort of up to the block producing community.
Right.
Right when the network launches, there's going to be 64 gigabytes of RAM available.
Yep.
So every block producer has to have on their hardware 64 gigabytes of RAM, and all storage on the EOS ecosystem at this time is in RAM. Eventually there will be a distributed sort of IPFS file system, which will be slower than RAM storage.
Okay.
But right from the start, every smart contract that stores something in their database, that's getting stored in RAM to get that snappy response time.
Okay, right. Okay, so we've got a launch sequence coming up. So we've got all the tokens, the RC20 tokens. They're all registered. We've got 99.6%, give or take, now that are registered. Forgive me on these numbers if I've made a mistake, guys. You probably know better than me, but this is what the latest information that I have. We've got many block producers that have been running the actual code in terms of testing it and things like that, and obviously loading up all those tokens onto the network.
Yeah.
Now, there is a bit of an issue right now. There's a hot debate going on. I love a bit of a hot debate. In the block producer community, it's around RAM and it's around launching these tokens. Nathan, what's holding us back here? Tell us about this. What's going on?
Right. So all those accounts in the snapshot need a small portion of RAM to basically store the existence of the account. Their account name, their permission structure, that has to be stored in the RAM ecosystem.
Okay.
As part of that Genesis injection process, all those accounts are being given free RAM. Every new account that's created from what the time the mainnet launches is going to have to spend a small quantity of EOS, purchase a small quantity of RAM to have those accounts. But everybody who registered and is the snapshot is getting those accounts for free.
Okay.
So the big debate is how to do that. And
so how much are we talking here? How much EOS, you know, like are we talking? Like
so the
or is there
algorithm,
different versions? Tell us about this.
well, the RAM is purchased using a Bancor algorithm.
Yeah.
And what this is basically a exchange method that has a linear scale of supply and demand. So the price fluctuates. The more RAM you purchase from the system, the higher the price.
Gotcha.
So certain members of the community had developed algorithms to sort of estimate what that total cost would be for the full injection, and it worked out to approximately 11,800 EOS.
11,800 EOS, right? So you're talking about, what's that, about 250 grand, 200 grand? Something like that. Right, to launch the whole thing, that's incredible. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Now this EOS, isn't being taken from anybody,
Right.
right? And this EOS isn't being given to anybody.
Right.
This would be considered a gift to the community that they received this amount of RAM for free for participating in the whole ERC20 process, the snapshot process.
Right.
And
that will load, but that's going to load up EOS. That's going to launch all our accounts.
that's right.
And so what's the cost? What's the downside here?
Well, the downside is that the inflation model uses the total supply of EOS to continually calculate inflation. So block producers are paid through this inflation model. So while the network starts with 1 billion
Let's come back.
EOS,
Let's also talk about the inflation model in a sec.
Sure.
Because I think that's just. Do you want to just quickly, before we get back to the cost, let's just explain the inflation model of EOS. Just
right.
because I think everyone wants to understand this. This is a crucial topic, right?
Right. So EOS is starting with 1 billion EOS in the network. There's going to be 5% inflation per year, and that inflation is going to be divided between block producer rewards and the worker proposal project. So of that 5%, 1/5 or 1% of the total inflation will be used to pay block producers for providing this infrastructure to the network. The other 4% will be used to give back to the community in various ways. Worker proposals, if people have DApps they want to develop, efforts that benefit the community, and to help support, I think, the governance and arbitration process as well.
Right. So it's obviously maintaining the network. Does that inflation rate go down?
I mean, anything is subject to change. That's the beauty of EOS. The whole block production group and community can come together and modify that. But at the moment, that rate is hard-coded.
Okay. And so inflation is going to keep on going. Supply will keep going up slowly, but obviously it'll pay for new DApps and new improvements to the system for governance and things like that.
And it's different to the Ethereum model in the sense that the inflation model allows for EOS to be transaction feeless, so we can build new and very interesting DApps on EOS itself, and not be encumbered by transaction fees.
Let's come back to some of the DApps because I'm really keen to understand what sort of things you guys are seeing and what's possible on EOS and what's not possible on Ethereum, I guess, because I think it's fascinating the enterprise level of EOS. Tell us, so going back, inflation. Does that inflation rate, obviously it's going to keep going up, I'm going to have to ask the question. It seems EOS has raised a lot of money. We've got a viewer question coming in. Joel, bring it up for us, but let's just ask this. This is a bit of a spicy one, guys, and I'm bringing it up for this one. Spicy question inbound. EOS has raised a lot of money. Why, are they going to use that money to also fund some of these DApps and all this other stuff as well? Like, what's that? How does the governance and that sort of two things work together? How does that work?
Well, I think Block One's put together a large number of VC projects with the funds that they've personally raised. I think they've announced $1 billion towards VC projects, and that's not including the inflation. That's the initial funding of EOS. They're taking $1 billion of that and giving it straight back to community efforts.
To build applications.
Yeah, that's right, and that's in addition.
$1 billion of EOS applications, guys. You got to get in on this. This is incredible.
And that's on top of that 4% inflation that will also be going back to the community.
Right. So we're really trying to stick it to Ethereum. It sounds like it. You guys are really on this. Okay, so let's go back. So we've got inflation every year. You said now with this small increase in initial RAM, the 11,000 EOS, how is that going to affect the inflation rate?
It affects it very slightly.
Yep.
Basically, the daily block rewards, the inflation from daily block rewards is about 12,000 EOS. So this is roughly the equivalent supply increase as 1 day of production. So that's where it's been really polarizing. Everybody wants the network to start with exactly 1 billion EOS. But this process of gifting the community with this RAM is basically equivalent of generating a single day of block production.
Right.
And so the effects on RAM cost and inflation, I think, were calculated to be approximately 0.02% increase in the first day of inflation.
So 2 bips.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and that's gonna affect it long term or just short term?
It's, you know, there's long-term effects in the sense that the day zero inflation will be ever so slightly higher. But that's about equivalent of starting block production 1 day early.
Okay. Why doesn't just EOS Foundation kick it in?
Well,
that's a spicy question. Spicy question number 2, guys.
I think Block One's wanted to take a really hands-off approach. They've developed the software for the community, but they want to put this in the hands of the community to decide how to do this. Okay. So that's why the community's been deciding the best way to do this. I think the community's agreed we don't want to take EOS from anybody.
Yep.
But just how's the best way to inject these accounts and get this RAM out to everyone.
Let's go to this viewer question before we come back to talking about costs and talking about DApps. Ty, I want to talk about that as well. And then if we can also come back as well, guys, it would be great to get an update on where we are. I don't know if it's possible while we look at this question. I know it is a bit of a technical question here. So the viewer question, thanks so much. Joel, who sent this question in? This is a great question.
I'll go find out.
Joel's going to find out. Viewer question is, do you see the small amount of validators as a problem? I don't know if that's a spicy question or not. It seems like everyone's, to me, it seems like all the validators are working together, right?
That's right.
But tell us about this.
So I guess
how many validators are there, firstly? Just talk about that.
Well, there's 21 active block producers. And so basically there's a rotation. Everybody produces 6 or 8 blocks. I've been up like late nights every day, so some of my numbers are going to be a little fuzzy.
Look at
so
this.
Please,
this is a real block
please
producer.
fact check me. Please fact check me because I'm just really tired. But I believe there's about 8 blocks, and these blocks are, or I'd be 12, and these blocks are half-second intervals. So another interesting comparison to Ethereum, every half-second, your transactions are done. People who are waiting for, you know, minutes, hours for a Bitcoin or Ethereum transaction to be verified, we're looking in seconds. That's the kind of speed.
So you guys have got EOS up and running.
Yeah.
It's operating, and you're seeing half-second transactions.
Yes, that's a requirement of the system.
Half-second transactions, guys. That's wild.
So a key stat from the Dan Larimer projects on the blockchain is that 60% of
Before, I just want to say something. I'm just having a tough time dealing with this because half-second transactions is incredible. But I just want to finish this point just for 2 seconds because I just want to answer the question. Just cutting to the chase. Hold that thought. Dan, obviously, let's hear about what Dan has to say. But Thank you so much, But I want to just come to the chase. The 2-sentence punchline about the small number of validators. What's your view on that?
I think the cryptographic methods, I encourage everyone to read the white paper, the Byzantine algorithms. Keep that safe. There has to be 15 out of 21 consensus of those block producers for those blocks to be valid. So we're not going to see one person injecting bad blocks. We have to have this high level of consensus. You have to have this high level of orchestration for validation to be a problem. And remember, it's the community voting these people in. So if they start to see any semblance of collusion, you know, the community can band together and kick them the hell out, right? So, you know, the 15 out of 21 consensus, you know, all this cryptographic proof, and I'm not a cryptographic genius, so please read the white paper, but there's a lot of safeguards here, and the community itself is basically the watchdog and has the power to put people they feel need to be in there. They can put them in there. And
it's great. I think, as I said, I think there's real people really dedicated behind this. I've noticed just from your interactions, guys. And Nathan is currently on a Zoom call right now. Let's come back. So thank you, for our question. I hope that helps. I think what essentially it's going to be, there is consensus within the 21 block producers. They're talking regularly. I think it's actually a very healthy community. Let's come back now. Ty, you were saying with Dan about the half-second transaction speed. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so just from Dan Larimer's track record with his other projects, including Steemit, over 60% of the transactions on the blockchain are his projects. So he's got that track record of being able to provide a blockchain that has the throughput and the speed to actually make applications, DApps work seamlessly. So on Steemit, it's completely on the blockchain, but you use it, you just think it's a standard website. Yeah, so it's amazing.
60% of the transactions on the blockchain of what do you mean? Tell us about that stuff.
So all blockchain transactions, 60% of those are attributed to Steemit, and is it a BitConnect? Yeah.
BitShares?
No, BitShares.
So I'm going through the previous questions,
Guys,
so
we
I'm
are
just
going to get a live
slightly distracted.
update. We are going to get a live update from Nathan on the vote. There is currently a vote going on, just so you know. He's not ignoring us. It's actually happening right now live, so we're going to give you guys some live updates. But let's come back to this. So Steemit, 60% of the blockchain, that sounds like a lot.
It is a lot.
How is that possible? It sounds like it's more than Ethereum, more than Bitcoin. And that's been going for a long, long time.
It has.
And Ripple's been doing a few transactions, but you're saying that Steemit's blockchain and BitShares blockchains are just superior.
They're just processing.
Right.
They're fast.
Yeah.
The community might have some of their own views whether it's superior, but it's definitely very fast.
Very fast. Okay, whether it's superior or not is up to debate. And definitely not something that we're going to be debating right now, unless anyone on the show has anything to talk about with that. Now, I want to come back to DApps. We've seen all these protocols currently launching, all of these new blockchains, Icon, Neo, NEM, like U-Chain, P-Chain, Z-Chain, like literally every chain I could possibly imagine. Personally, my view is there's way too many protocols currently launching for the amount of, this is too much infrastructure that we're actually going to need, especially right now. I think it's just over the top, with considering there's just nowhere near enough of the applications that are ready to go and put out on these blockchains. I want to know, what are some of the DApps? Let's start with these DApps, and I think there's going to be this trend after all this new infrastructure into DApps and into some of the actual applications of blockchain. Obviously, Steemit is a good example of where it's currently actually being used. I think it's fantastic. They published some great articles there. But what I want to ask is, what's an example of a Ethereum, like a DApp that couldn't run on Ethereum, but could run on EOS? What's a good example of that?
Well, I think one of the more well-known examples is Wikipedia. Is looking at moving to the EOS infrastructure once it's live. Just the sheer amount of information that they need to store and the number of edits and transactional volume that goes into maintaining such a large repository of knowledge is something that Ethereum just can't handle.
Yeah.
Right. And
so is that so Wikipedia is pretty big. It's got a lot of pages. So would the actual content be stored on EOS, or like how does that sort of break down?
I think that's going to be up to DApp developers, and I think a lot of that there may be different strategies. I mentioned earlier the IPFS, or the EOS IPFS system that will come in, because RAM is going to be an expense. So basically, these DApp developers can decide how much of their information do they want in RAM, how much of their information do they want persistent in that blockchain directly with RAM. And we haven't even got into the topic of parallel chains yet. So
parallel chains.
I'm not gonna like blow your mind just yet, but
well, I think everyone loves their mind being blown, but we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
But let's finish this point on. So there's a certain amount of RAM. There's a certain amount of. We're getting really warm in here, guys. I'm getting real fired up. I'm gonna have to really adjust my. I'm sorry, Joel. You're gonna kill me. But I'm literally going to set on fire if I don't take my jacket off right now. We're getting to this point, this real pointy end with EOS, right? It's super pointy. I just want to understand, so we've heard, is it Evropedia? Is that
Oh,
the
yeah,
one?
it might be Everpedia.
Everpedia,
That's right.
Everpedia, right.
Yeah, my
So
bad.
Everpedia, I think they're doing an airdrop as well on EOS. So they're planning on storing that content or some of it. And I can imagine for the actual idea of Wikipedia in terms of it being the ultimate version of what is the actual answer of Wikipedia. I'm sure there are lots of threads in Wikipedia that are hotly contested. Some real spicy ones out there, like blockchain. That could be an interesting topic. So it's going to partially be stored on EOS. It'll be partially stored off EOS, which is really interesting in and of itself, and those connections. But again, so coming back, why can't that be done on Ethereum, and why can it be done on EOS? What's the core? Let's get right to the chase here.
Right. So with Ethereum, and I've done a little bit of smart contract development there. The database storage, when you make changes to the database, and again, please fact check me. But every time you have to make changes to the database, the user has to pay the gas costs. They have to pay the processing speed. So the person who puts that smart contract there, they spend once and their contract is there, but now the users are paying to use it. Every time they want to edit an article, they have to pay. All they can do is read from it. They can read from it for free. But if you want to interact with that smart contract, the user has to pay.
So you're saying like someone would have to pay to edit Wikipedia?
If it was on Ethereum,
Right.
yeah. Every time you wanted to pay,
Right.
you'd pay gas and say, okay, I want to edit this. And then someone goes and reverts your article and like, oh, I have to pay again.
That's brutal. Okay, cool. That's really interesting. Do you have an update for us, Nathan? I'm not sure if we can or can't give that. Obviously, we're not going to give the exact live information as it stands, but we will give it as close as we can to the news. I want to talk about, Ty, while we're doing this, what are some of the other DApps that are coming up? What are some of the other, ICOs, DApps, whatever it may be? What are you excited about? What are you seeing?
We're at the EOS Sydney meetup a couple of weeks ago, and there was a really interesting project called Emanate.
Music one.
The music one, yeah.
Sean?
Sean and Trent.
I like Sean. Sean, you should come on the show. Sean, come on the show.
Yeah, I'll send him a message. He's on my YouTube channel,
Great.
so I'll release that video shortly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's really interesting. They're putting artist management and royalties and whatnot on the EOS blockchain.
So again, why will that work on EOS and not on, say, Ethereum?
Their main feedback was that they wanted the faster transaction speeds.
Faster transaction.
Yeah,
Right.
and so they could build more powerful projects. Yeah.
Coming back to, okay, so that's fascinating. I think there's a lot of interesting ones. I saw another one recently that had an ERC20 token and an EOS token. So they'd probably raise maybe in Ethereum and then build actually and put the token in EOS, which is again quite interesting in terms of how that might work. But is there an update, Nathan? Where are we at? You had a vote or something like that? Is that?
Well, so right now the Go No Go meeting is live. The community has used these meetings every 12 hours for the last week to propose a number of agenda items and vote for them. So they're working through the agenda. As far as I can tell, there hasn't been the Go No Go vote yet. They've been voting on various sort of agenda items before coming to that, and I think to honor the community until we're ready to say that whatever the result of that vote, I might just have to be a little cagey.
Yeah,
but I'm going to be.
I would be. I'd be very cagey, but not on this show. Okay, cool. But you can say something. You were saying.
Sorry.
You were saying there's something going like we're getting closer. Is what you're saying?
Yeah. So we're working through. They're working through the agenda items right now. So once the agenda's been finished working through, at the end of the call will be the vote, and then hopefully we can have some news shortly after that.
Okay. Really interesting. Throughout the call, it has to continuously be translated to many languages as well, which I think is absolutely fascinating. And I think it goes to show, again, the global nature of blockchain and the projects and cryptocurrency. It's incredible. I think this is going to change the world. I'm very bullish about crypto, as I've always been. But let's come back now. You're going to blow my mind, again.
Yeah.
Parallel chains. I think we should make that the terminology of the day. Can you explain to us what is a parallel chain?
So the idea behind the parallel chain is that, and there's sort of a few flavors that will come out. Right this very moment, it's not enabled in the EOS system, but it is on the sort of accelerated list of developments. And this is to increase those transaction volumes even higher. This is to make RAM and storage even more accessible to everybody. So the first series of parallel chains will be that each block producer will start spinning up additional chains.
Wow.
And DApp developers will be able to deploy smart contracts on each chain that they want to participate on, and they'll be able to communicate. So essentially, if you wanted to move your EOS, let's call it chain ABC, if you were on mainnet, we'll call that chain A, and you wanted to move your EOS to a DApp that has purchased a larger set of processing power on chain B, for whatever reason it was more affordable.
Same EOS token?
Same EOS token. There will be smart contracts that let you lock your EOS on chain A and make it accessible on chain B. And there will be this back and forth process so that there's no duplication of these EOS tokens, and you'll be able to essentially migrate seamlessly from running a DApp on any of these chains, and that'll drastically increase DApp development because RAM will stay affordable and transaction volumes, if we start seeing volumes increase, just launch another chain, launch another chain.
That's incredible. So what it sounds like to me is like parallel processing. We have got a question coming up from Franco. We'll get to that. Franco, just hold tight. Hold on to your computer. Hold on to your mouse. We're coming at you. We're coming for you, Franco. It sounds to me like with this it's like parallel processing, right? You're spinning up, and it's like the internet. You send out these tiny little packets, and they all go out, and eventually they come back together like TCP/IP, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But with this system, right, it sounds to me like there's going to be a lot of proof of stake, which means that lots of people are going to be staking coins.
Yeah.
In other words, taking out circulating supply.
That's right.
And in theory, my opinion, could be wrong, that would potentially send the price up of EOS.
And that's not even discussing all the other methods that take coins out of the ecosystem.
Let's talk about let's get to that. Methods. All right, I like this. But okay, so parallel chains I think are fantastic.
And staking. So I mentioned how these smart contracts to run need to reserve their processing power, and they need to reserve their network bandwidth. And they do that by staking on the account that owns the smart contract. So for that smart contract to have these high processing volumes, they have to stake large quantities of EOS. And those staked quantities of EOS that operate these contracts can still be used to vote for block producers.
Okay.
So voting isn't locked up. There's an incentive to vote because you have the token staked anyway. But as you said, this is taking it out of the transactional supply. These are locked away for a minimum 3 days once you start that staking process. And apps and DApps that are going to be providing that service to the public are essentially going to be permanently removing this EOS from circulation as long as the DApp keeps running.
Okay. And I guess that just needs to be greater than 5% every year. Right?
Well, like I said, there's other methods that are going to be pulling funds out of the system.
Let's talk about those other methods in a second, but I just want to come back. Block producers, so there's 21 now. If you have these more and more chains, will there be more block producers?
Well, there are going to be 100+ standby producers as well. And these are producers that will be paid out of the voting pool. Basically, that reward has a active production pool and a total vote pool. And they're ready to step in if any of these 21 go down for some reason, just stop participating. For these parallel chains, there's lots of options. So I said there will be the essentially official chains, official parallel chains that will be run by those 21 producers. But there's the opportunity for private chains to be run as well that won't be paid out of the inflation model. So these private chains can be owned by a commercial entity, a group of like-minded individuals, and they'll have the ability to validate actions that occur on their chain to their own personal smart contracts on the main chain. So there can still be communication between private and the mainnet chain. They won't be funded out of the EOS ecosystem. It's up to them if they want to provide that service for their own endeavors. But there will be the ability to validate their transactions on their chain to a smart contract that they publish on the primary mainnet.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Let's come back to the other methods of taking supply out of the system in a bit. And we've got private chains. I want to talk about token types as well. But we've got a question from Franco. Joel, what's the what's Franco's question? So, after CryptoKitties, what Ethereum-based project will be the next to break the network? To break Ethereum's network, or I guess break EOS's network? I guess people are just almost paused trying to break Ethereum right now. I don't know. Has anyone heard about like Ethereum's transaction volume? Let's have a look. I think we could have a look at the actual numbers, Joel, in terms of, while we do that, obviously.
I'm going to take a look at what's going on here.
Yeah, Ethereum transaction congestion. There's a graph that shows this. Pending transactions, here we are. Joel, do you want to just switch to my screen here? There normally is a graph about this.
Would the sheer volume of ICOs on the Ethereum network slow it down?
Yeah. I guess can something block it again? We've got transaction chart. Is this the number of transactions? So seems to be still kicking along in terms of number of transactions going on. Is there a pending transactions? Pending transactions. Because I remember this is pretty much what killed Ethereum last time. So this is back. This is June. I wonder if we can zoom back any further. Seems relatively like we're sitting around that 30,000 mark. Hasn't really gone too crazy since. So
and CryptoKitties was December-ish?
Yeah.
Late November? Yeah.
Trying to see if we can go back in time anyway. Like the thing about it is I just haven't heard of something right now getting close to or near crashing Ethereum again, or a system or application that is trying to or getting close to. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be completely out of line here, but I think people just sort of got scared away. And every single conference, you know, I went at Consensus in New York, London Blockchain Week. I was in Singapore as well and San Francisco for all the meetups, and everyone basically is scared about the transaction speed and recognizes this is a major issue, right? Yeah. I think everyone sort of got their fingers burnt. And they're questioning, you know, what token to use, right? So I guess the question really is, what is the application that potentially will come across that wasn't available on Ethereum, but now can be run on EOS or one of the other blockchains as well? And I think that's one thing I'm also really concerned about right now and confused. There's this sort of treacherous protocols coming out, and there's sort of, you know, saying they're the next thing with the transaction speed and all those kind of things, but are they actually delivering more transactions, or are they just a fork of Ethereum or a fork of whatever they may be that's already out there? Like, how different really is what I want to know is, how different to Ethereum is EOS? Is it built from scratch? Like, what's the technicals behind it?
Yeah, I think both have sort of been built from scratch. I think you know, Dan Lermer has a lot of experience in those previous projects that he sort of set up. So this is essentially version 3 of his DPoS vision. I think he has a lot of lessons learned, and the whole Block One team has a lot of lessons learned, and so they've you know, developed this code for the community that can be used. And I mean, the code's out there, so if anybody wants to start up a testnet, wants to run their own you know, DPoS infrastructure just for fun, they can do that. It's public, it's out there.
Nathan, I just want to say, you are looking very EOS today. Your shirt. This is like,
is it?
This is the #1 EOS shirt in town right now, guys. I absolutely love it. So the code's out there. Let's come back. So there were all these security flaws and all these kind of things that were concerning. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, how would you say the Chinese community now is reacting to EOS and its security?
I think the community is feeling quite confident that there's nothing critical. The nature of the blockchain software and the nature of the smart contract sort of framework is that as issues are identified, they can be patched by the community. So their primary concern was that there was no major vulnerabilities that could cause people to lose their tokens, and that's been had been essentially confirmed. And I mean, security is going to always be ongoing. There's going to be rigorous testing, and as these holes are found, they're going to be patched as quickly as possible. So I think a lot of people are feeling pretty confident about the security, and with the DPoS model that as new vulnerabilities, if they appear, we can have a rapid response.
DPoS model, second terminology of the day. What is the DPoS model?
So that's distributed proof of stake. So you have Bitcoin and Ethereum that use proof of work, which is why we have all the miners running their GPUs red hot. Ethereum was supposed to start moving to a proof of stake model, which has been constantly delayed, it seems, when I was first looking in the Ethereum space. And then the distributed proof of stake is where we get the whole community involved in that process. So that's where the community is staking and voting for producers, and it's distributed amongst the whole community. So that's where we get all those words.
So, as a block producer, how much EOS do you have to stake to be a producer?
So because this is distributed proof of stake instead of proof of stake, the block producers themselves are essentially staking our reputation and our hardware costs, which as the RAM supply goes up could be quite substantial. So that's our stake. And reputation is going to be important because all the individuals, we need their votes. So there's no personal EOS stake for the block producers. We're providing the hardware, we're providing the physical infrastructure and our reputation. That's our stake.
How much can you give us a ballpark? How much did it cost or to put all this hardware together? And what are we talking about? Give us an idea of this hardware.
Well, a lot of producers, ourselves are included, are starting up with cloud-based infrastructure. So, for example, Amazon, Google Cloud, some communities in China may even be using like Alibaba cloud services, because this allows us to rapidly deploy and ramp up. All the different block producers have various models that they're going to be using. Depending on how they set up the infrastructure, you could be looking at $500 a month to $500 a day. So,
wow.
yeah.
$500 a day. So it's definitely, and so you're talking. Obviously, there's a chunk of that you're going to get paid in EOS tokens, which is really important to keep the lights on. But that's significant. How motivated would you say the EOS block producers are in terms of scaling the infrastructure and the technology?
Oh, I think everybody in the community has been extremely motivated. There's a lot of smart people in this community. For example, one of the community security efforts over the last 2 weeks had come to the same security conclusions that the biggest security firm in China published weeks later. So we have a lot of smart people putting together rigorous standards, rigorous configurations. Some of these block producers are discussing having as many as 8 standby block producing machines just ready to take over in case of a network failure.
8 standby machines. It sounds like
I'm not even getting started.
Ooh, I love
those
this.
machines are hidden so that they're not vulnerable, because these are the machines processing the transactions. And then they want to provide up to 30 public-facing machines that the community, when you send your transaction or read information off the blockchain, some of these producers want as many as 30 machines available to the public for meshing and communication.
Oh, wonderful. That's awesome. Wow, this is quite a thing, really. Just quietly. I guess there's obviously been a lot of talk about EOS and where it's going and things like that. And there's been a little bit of hate, I guess, as well, just being honest. You know, everyone's a bit freaked out by, you know, is EOS a security? Where's the, you know, some of the people behind Block One and those kind of things. But I think what I really want to come to this and what I want to...
Can I give you some breaking news?
Yeah, break it. We got some breaking news right now. Tell us, Nathan.
Dan Lermer did join the chat.
Ooh, Dan's in the chat.
I should remind everybody, Block One is hands off on this deploy. I think he's just going in a monitoring capacity just to see where everybody's at, because we are looking at a critical juncture. But I think it's interesting he's there, but just everybody remember Block One is hands off.
Hands off from Block One. That's all I wanted to say. You know, I think it's really good. That's great that obviously they're providing that counsel and that help, because, you know, this is a real project that's really going to go live, which that's what I'm excited about. Real things going live and actually happening in this entire space. I want to ask, and what I noticed is that as much as all of that hate from the past and all that stuff is in the past and all those kind of things, I think we need to separate that as a community from the actual block producers themselves. Because it seems to me like this is a great group of people that have gotten together that are actually going to deliver EOS, and they're going to handle it. So they're the people really that we need to look to. They're the people that are actually, like, you guys are the real deal. You know, these are the actual guys that are going to handle our transactions. They're going to actually make the future of this blockchain, right? And I think that's really important to understand, is that you guys have put your money up, and I love that. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I put my money up, and to build Finder and HiveX and things like that, and I back that. I respect that a lot. And the other thing I think is amazing is that you're giving and donating part of that to charity. Like, this is a real thing. That's why, again, this stuff this is a kind of model that you would never have been able to see in the past, right? It's impossible. And so again, you're turning technology, facilitation of things which are going to change the world, and actually helping people as well. I think it's fantastic, and I commend you guys on doing that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. So our first
straight chat right there. Dan, over to you. No.
So I'd like to share our first DApp project. Will be around the charity, and what we've discussed as a group is that we want to improve the visibility of the donations to the verified charities that get voted in. So did you want to share?
Yeah, so
is this breaking news again?
We've been publishing this a bit. This has been our whole goal. You know, we don't have a DApp out there yet, so the first part of our community engagement was we started putting Steemit articles and surveys so people can suggest charities and causes that might be a little more obscure and that we're going to be investing in immediately. We're not waiting for this DAC or DApp to be developed. The moment we start receiving block rewards, if we receive the votes that we need to, there's money going straight out there. And then as funding improves, and as, you know, we're kind of self-funded people working day jobs, there's groups out there that have VCs pouring money into them. We're we're doing 24-hour days, putting blood, sweat, and tears into this. And so
I love it, see, the feeling of this room right now is real entrepreneurs doing real things, and I love that. I love that about you guys, and I think, and I'm inspired. I think it's great. That's how that's you know, the beauty of capitalism, I guess, and entrepreneurship and sweating it out to create something that's bigger than yourself and that future vision to help other people. So I commend you guys on doing that. It's really, really, really great. So tell us about, you said, but before you get the block rewards, you need to get a certain number of votes.
Yeah.
Tell us about that process there. You're saying you have to get a certain number of votes to be a block producer, or tell us about this process. Are you guys a block producer now?
No. No one's a block producer.
No one's a block producer. Okay.
Everybody's a block producer candidate, but no one's producing blocks. When the mainnet goes live, or once we get the Go meeting, all the block producer candidates have the opportunity to join the network with the node that's going to be loading it. The producer that's sort of spinning up the mainnet is going to be completely anonymous. The community agreed that, you know, we didn't want there to be any glory for doing this sort of arbitrary process. and then everybody has an opportunity to mesh, validate, build the secure network. And then at that point, once the mainnet goes live, goes public, you know, all those candidates can register themselves as candidates, and the community can start voting for them.
And tell us about that voting process. So how does this work?
So everybody who has staked EOS, and I should say that when the mainnet launches, all your EOS is automatically staked, except if you have more than 10, you'll have 10 liquid EOS available. Everything else is staked for 3 days from the point that 15% of the total EOS pool votes for a producer. So there's a high incentive if people want to start trading, they want to start liquidating to get these votes out. There's a number of voting portals.
So there's a vote coming up.
Yeah, everybody needs to vote. This is part of the distributed proof of stake. You need to vote for those producers you support.
So right now there's a demand for EOS to get these votes. And how many EOS do you need to be able to vote?
Just one.
One.
Anybody who has a staked quantity of EOS can vote.
And how many EOS can you own, or is it just unlimited number of votes? So if you had like 100 million EOS.
Please vote for us.
100 million EOS, guys. Vote for GENEREOS, which is really, really cool, guys. Just, how does someone vote? Tell us how they can vote for you.
Right. So everybody can vote for actually 30 candidates. So if you have 100 EOS and you vote for 30 candidates, every candidate you vote for gets a weight of that full 100. So it's not distributed, and we encourage people to research and vote for as many candidates.
And how do they do that? Where do they go? Where do you go to research block producer? Joel, can you put this in the chat? This will help everyone as well.
So I think
where do you go?
One of the major portals that we support, I think EOS Go has done
EOSGo.com?
I think.
.io, I believe.
Yeah.
EOSGo.io.
Let's have a look.
EOSGo.io. Okay, so you go to EOS Go.
Yeah, and they've done exhaustive reports on many of the candidates available. They've done criteria checklists. And then to actually do the voting, one of the portals that the community has really rallied behind is called EOSportal.io.
So EOSportal.io and EOS Go. Okay.
We've been on their show quite a few times.
Yeah,
They're
quite a few times
guys.
coming up to the launch.
Oh, so EOS Go have a show as well. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool.
They do daily updates, I believe, and interview the block producing community.
Right. Okay, I can see this here. I'm on the EOSGo.io forum. It looks extremely active as well, which is fantastic. The latest post was literally just before. Incredible. You've got EOS Chinese, Korean, Russian, Ukrainian, Arabic. Wow, this is incredible. This is just amazing. I think it's a great situation. And then we've got, what was the other one you said? It was
EOSportal.io.
And these are the guys you're saying. What do they do?
So this will be a voting portal. As I said, these are a variety of test nets. Once the mainnet goes live, you'll be able to select that mainnet. And for example, if you click one of these test nets, because you can see it has 35 producers. So if you just go ahead and select that so your viewers can see what they might expect to see. And I believe this is one of the test nets that have been running. All the producer candidates will appear here. And so they can connect using a secure mechanism called Scatter, which is similar to MetaMask for Ethereum. Scatter is essentially the MetaMask for EOS. So they can securely connect their private keys. And then from this list, they can select 30 producers that they feel they want to support and hit vote. And that's all they have to do.
Oh, so you go to this website to vote.
That's right.
Cool.
There are other portals available, but this, from what we've seen, is one of the most unbiased ones available. But we encourage people to find portals that they trust. Just make sure you never share your private key. Keep your information safe.
Do not share your private key. I agree. Unless, obviously, that is one of the questions I was going to ask, is when should you share your private key? How will someone know this is the chain, this is the main net, this is the one to go for? How could they tell?
So I think everybody's going to announce that. If I can pressure you to go to one more website.
One more website. That's getting real spicy now.
And just look up EOS Scatter. That's SCATTER.
So we've done an article, a Steemit article, and a video on this as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's share that, Joel, with everyone as well on the channel. So this is like the MetaMask of EOS.
That's correct. So we encourage everyone to follow the instructions, install the correct extension. They can create new private keys. They can load their existing private key. And we recommend, if you're going to use an online platform to do anything on EOS, make sure you're only using Scatter. Never input your private key anywhere else.
Okay, awesome. That's great. That's seriously great. I think we had a question, Joel, from Harry. I want to come back to talking about token types, and I want to talk about methods of taking coins out of the system as well. Take us back, Harry. What's kind of question? It could be anything coming at us, Joel. I didn't really realize there was a whole MetaMask, a whole portal. Will there be an EOS scan or EOS, where you can check transactions and things like that?
Many members of the community are developing various block explorers.
Okay. If the EOS mainnet was launched now with the version of software we currently have, what risks would the network face that we may be able to eliminate before launch? I'm gonna have to hand that one over to you guys because I don't have the inside word on this. It seems, yeah, I'm not sure.
Is it asking what problems we're trying to solve at the moment
Yeah,
with today's code?
Yeah, I think.
What security problems what security problems? Are there security problems with EOS right now?
As far as I know, there's been no publicly disclosed issues. Obviously, various security firms and those bug bounties, have been shared through appropriate channels with Block One. Anything that has been considered a showstopper has been rectified.
So in the go no go meeting right now, is security a concern?
Yes, it's always a concern.
Always
I think there was a minor bug that appeared that there is some current discussion on to debate the severity of it. I believe.
Just so you know, guys, Nathan is literally on the chat right now, so we're getting this live to you right now.
So I think there's some ongoing discussion about some bugs that have been announced in these final hours, and there's some discussion whether they are an issue. The ongoing chat appears to be that it is not an issue. It's simply a.
It's not an issue.
If you're using a specific version of code to push it or to read a transaction from the network, it appears there might be a small discrepancy, but that's purely on the user side and is not a blocker. Appears to be the discussion.
And was there a vote about this RAM situation? Nathan, is there an update on that? Is that public? Can we disclose that publicly? Potentially, potentially not. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the community rallied that they'd prefer to have this small amount of inflation than risk a convoluted process that might cause further delays or cause.
So we still go for launch. Would that be the fact? Are we go for launch still potentially with EOS right now?
The discussion is still moving towards a go no go chat.
Yes.
But things are looking positive.
Okay. Things are looking positive right now, guys. So to answer your question, Harry, the answer right now, if we launched right now, it seems like it would be okay, based on what Nathan and the current block producer dialogue seems to be. Let's go back to methods of taking EOS out of the network, because I think this is fascinating, right? 1 billion tokens is a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a year-long ICO, which is awesome. And I gotta say, in the beginning, I was not on board with EOS. It took me ages to come around, and now I can see what's actually going on here, and I realize if you cut through all the actual noise and get to the real deal, there are people who are actually trying to do something here. This is not just a white paper with a fantastical idea. This is real code that we're trying to launch right now, guys, right here, right now. Obviously, we're a go, no go. But let's tell us right now methods of taking supply out of EOS. What else? How else is supply going to be taken out?
Right. So one of the big ones that sort of removes supply is the RAM purchasing process. So there is essentially this internal RAM marketplace that use this Bancor algorithm. And so when people purchase RAM at a certain price, they own that RAM, and that puts money into this exchange minus a fee. So first of all, the fee is automatically removing funds from the ecosystem because that goes into a separate pool that can be voted on what to do with. It may be burnt, it may be given back to the community. And then you can sell your RAM back and you know, receive your payment. Now that can fluctuate over time based on the supply and demand of the RAM. And while it's in that exchange, and I mean, people are going to need RAM.
I'm going to have to stop you for a second, Nathan. But this is really good. But terminology 3 of the day: Bankerous. What is? Oh, sorry. What is a Bancor? Is it a Bancor system? What is a?
It's an algorithm for setting
What is a Bancor algorithm? Tell us.
So again, I'm not a mathematical super savvy guy, but essentially you can set a relationship of the supply and the demand of RAM. So for example, as I said, there'll be 64 gigs, and if 30, and then there's an initial price. So if none of the RAM has been purchased, there's a set price. We'll say it's 0.01 EOS. And then as half the supply is used, the price will follow a linear curve that dictates what that price becomes.
Gotcha. And that's how much EOS you have to stake.
That's, well, purchase. So it works a little differently. With RAM, it doesn't get staked. You actually purchase it, and then you can sell it.
So when you say purchase, you purchase it with EOS tokens?
That's right.
Right. So stakey purchase, stakey purchase. Okay, so that is a Bancor algorithm?
That's right.
Bancor algorithm is driving this. So let's come back, because I was a little confused now, I get that. But now, so we've got this Bancor algorithm about the RAM. That's one way that EOS will be taken out of the system.
Yeah.
Let's come back to your point. Sorry, Nathan. I just need to. I hope everyone appreciate that. But let's keep going.
Well, and just to add to that, what block producers are bringing to the game is that as that price increases, there'll be an incentive for block producers to increase the RAM supply. So as that price starts doubling and tripling, block producers are going to come under pressure to make that 64 gigs. They're going to have to double it again, and that drastically increases infrastructure cost. But that's done so that DApp developers, we can bring that RAM cost back down and make it accessible.
And I guess that will also mean that there'll be more EOS staked as we keep on getting more and more DApps.
That's right.
Right. How else? What else is going to take EOS out of the circulating supply?
All right, so this one's really fun.
Ooh, I like fun ones.
Account names in EOS. So you're aware that when you have a Bitcoin wallet and Ethereum wallet, you get that huge string of random characters.
Yes.
In EOS, you have a 12-character name.
12-character name.
12-character name. Now, here comes the special part. 2 weeks after the mainnet unlocks, and when I say unlocks, that means it gets that 15% of the total EOS voting for it. 2 weeks after that, you can start bidding for premium names. What this premium name means is it's a name shorter than 12 characters. So you could purchase Finder.
Finder.eos?
No. You get .finder. So you get, essentially, you could consider it a top-level domain name.
Right.
So you get .finder, and then you can then register Fred.finder. But you're the only person in the entire world that can put .finder on any account for the rest of the existence of EOS.
Cool. And so what are these, when you say account name, like how does that get access? What does that mean?
So your wallet, your account that does everything, your smart contract, is all associated to these accounts. So you would say, like I would say, I want to transfer 10 EOS from Nathan to Fred. So you don't have to put your 20-character Ethereum wallet address. You just say, I'm going to give money to Fred. Okay.
And then that just goes straight into my wallet. Like that's the wallet I paste into the actual thing.
That's right.
That's
like
incredible.
You'll still have a public and private key pair, but when someone wants to specify where they're sending funds or what smart contract or DApp they want to talk to, they can specify this 12-character or shorter name.
Wow, that's incredible. I just want to pause right there, guys, give a bit of a live update on the market, if I can. And we do have a little bit of news that we want to talk about as well. I'll let Nathan have a chat with his current block producers. Joel, can you bring us up on our screen? Just want to run through the top coins and the last 24 hours of action of what's going on. There's obviously a lot of different things going on in the market. We've got, I'll just give you guys an update as well as to, I do have a moon coin for today. We're not going to jump to that yet. The Binance coin was the moon coin of yesterday, but we do have a moon coin that I do want to talk about. But if you could just bring up my my screen, Joel, while we just do a little market update. I don't know if we can see that terribly well. Yesterday, we couldn't really see it, but we do have Bitcoin is slightly down at 7,680. Ethereum at 606, down 1.29%. EOS is up 4.32%. Litecoin down 1.4%. Bitcoin futures obviously slightly down. Ethereum futures slightly down. Bitcoin Cash down 1.93%. Obviously a lot more than Bitcoin itself. And Ripple down about 1%. Tron down 2.44%. Nano had a bit of a run last night, but it is back down to where it started. Dash down. Monero slightly down. Icon down 2.3%. VeChain has had a really interesting time. I do want to talk about this a little bit. We have OMG down 4.62%. ZRX down 2.24%. Really interesting time. We've got a 9% run here on SC. I'm not sure what that is. Joel, if you can give us some research on what SC is. I haven't seen this coin before. But do want to flag, I guess, going back, as we are looking at this launch right now, it does seem to be affecting the price. And I can't speculate too much about that, but the EOS price is performing really well. We're getting very close to a go, no-go launch right now of the actual mainnet, of a real-life code that's going to actually run. Wow, that's going to be incredible. Okay, so Joel, if you want to spool up as well to Sia coin. Wow, did not see that coming up 9%. I wonder what's driving that. Not exactly sure what is driving Sia coin, but it does seem to be moving quite a bit. As I said, EOS is up quite a bit on trading overnight. So guys, coming back, so you can register names. We can obviously launch DApps and applications, which is fantastic. Let's come back to these. Nathan, do you have any updates for us? Did you want to give us a little breaking news? You're looking at the bell there, I can tell. You want to go for it. Give us the first bell, Nathan.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's
that's my bell. That's right.
No,
it's my bell.
It looks like there's a bit of a rehash on that on the RAM purchase. There's a bit of a rehash going on there. So I'll be keeping an eye on that and see if we can move on. But again,
can Dan just chuck in a few EOS? Like really, just Dan, chuck in a bit.
Dan's been in the channels, kind of the opinion. Just send it.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's in the hands of the community.
Dan's keen to just to send it in.
Yeah.
Really, he'll just open his wallet.
Oh no, not open the wallet. I don't know. Maybe he wants EOS live. That's what he wants.
100%. But Dan should just put the money up. Anyway, it's not that much to Dan, or at least block one. Okay, so let's come back to other ways of taking supply out of the EOS system. Tell us how else. So we've got these premium accounts.
Yeah. So the reason that brings supply out of the name, these premium accounts, is there's a bidding process to get these names. So, I mentioned Finder. People might want to get Com, app. They might want EOS itself, Google, because you're the sole person that can then create any name that has that name. So .com, .info.
So like Fred.Finder. Everyone can send Fred.Finder lots of EOS.
Yeah, that's right.
That's nice. That's like free EOS.Finder.
And so to get these names, you have to bid on them, and whichever name has the highest bid out of any name in the system that has a bid, whatever name has the highest bid in a 24-hour period gets rewarded. So there's one name per day, and it's the highest bid. And when you bid, your bid is gone forever. So if you weren't a winner, you basically just spent that money, and that money is coming out of the system.
Okay.
So
and the second's burnt.
Essentially, I think it's available in a system wallet. It's up to the community what happens with that funds, but I imagine there's going to be a lot of competition for certain names when this gets unlocked, and there'll be. We're going to be keen to put up a portal to see what kind of money people are throwing at this.
Fantastic.
We
should bring that on. We'll have a follow-up of that.
So we've launched Generos Toolkit with the first feature, and this is a subsequent feature we'll put in there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Generos. What in Generos' toolkit have you guys launched so far? Tell us.
Well, so far it's pretty simple. We basically made a tool where people can actually check what their balance is. I'm hopeful today that I'm going to expand that a little bit, where you can actually create accounts, set proxy voters, and perhaps even vote for us, Team Generous, on that tool.
Vote for Team Generous, guys. We should have a little symbol or something, a little love symbol. I've got the moon. Oh, okay, bring it. This should be part of the symbol or something. Oh, I think EOS might be the moon coin for today. Okay, so except for SEA coin, seems to be 99% up as well. And really interesting when a coin moves against Bitcoin. I find that absolutely fascinating. So let's come back to talking about, I want to talk about something which is a bit scary right now, and that is scammers with EOS. And this whole idea, I think there's one candidate producer or something that is trying to say they're anti-EOS or something, and they're launching a competitor blockchain, and there's people posing as all these kind of things.
I've heard of one called EOS Force.
Yeah.
I think. And I think they're they're part of the Chinese community, and the EOS Chinese community is basically ignoring them because they're just a lot of noise.
Yep.
But yeah, people should watch out for people are trying to fork or generate their own coin.
Okay. Be really careful, guys. Again, there will be processes. Look at the websites that we have obviously posted up. And we've got a question quickly right now from Bitcoin Bank, the Bank of Bitcoin. I like that name. How will the names registered in Scatter work? So, question from Bitcoin Bank. Thank you, Bitcoin Bank, for your question. Shout out to you. High five all around. Bitcoin Bank. How will the names registered in Scatter work?
So essentially, Scatter's provided their own identity system. It's based on a sort of a protocol they call RIDL or Riddle, and that is separate to the EOS account names. So Scatter's idea here is that on their network, you can purchase an account name that you can validate through various means, and then you link your EOS accounts to that name.
Mm-hmm.
So how people will utilize this will be yet to be seen.
Basically, you put a name that you get, and then you chuck that into Scatter, and then you'd make that your same name as your account or something like that. Yeah,
you could do that. Part of Scatter's monetization, because it is a free service, is this identity scheme. So Scatter generates sort of a random name for you. Like I think one was like Happy Raccoon 2506.
Ooh, Happy Raccoon 256. I like that.
And then you link.
Raccoons are relatively happy. When I see them in New York City, when I'm walking through late at night.
Lots to eat.
Yeah, they're literally like quite dexterous with their hands, and like a mixture of a cat and a dog and a possum put together. Yeah, and the tail doesn't move. Happy Raccoon.
I don't think you have them here.
No, we don't.
We have some back where I'm from in Canada. So.
In Canada?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so that's how the names are going to work. I want to talk about scammers because I've got a piece of news here today. ICO Watchdog has released 2 new tools. One in particular called ScamWatch, and they have their token Dog. Doggy Dog! Actually, with my 2 little girls, Portia and Sachi, they called me Dad Dog, so we have, Dog is a bit of a special name for me. ScamWatch will obviously incentivize the community to go out and find scams, and you get rewarded in dog tokens, which I think is fantastic. right? That's just helping everyone, because I think the number of scams and those kind of things, exit scams, all these kind of things going on right now. How are scams and all these things going to be dealt with EOS? Is there sort of a community or an incentive or something that's being set up around this?
So we've helped. I think there's various places people can try to scam and various ways to mitigate those scams. So for example, we help start a sort of a group of block producers and independent interested parties to develop sort of a auditing or certification standard for voting portals, where we can say these are portals that you know, we approve of because they're transparent, they're fair, they're safe. But again, that's a document that we present to the community, and it's up to the community to look for that and you know, take on whether they agree with our recommendations. There is a governance and arbitration process because block producers do have a certain level of control. If someone was scammed or there was fraudulent transactions made, they'll be able to propose that to this arbitration process and sort of come to a resolution on how to handle that. So I think unlike you know, Bitcoin or Ethereum and your tokens are just gone forever, you'll have an opportunity to present a case and for some sort of action to take place. And then for private keys, please everyone just never give your private keys away.
That's a really good. There is obviously some articles on Finder about protecting your private keys. Do read up on those, guys. They're really, really important. Now, I don't know if you want to give us an update, Nathan. I was going to try and bring this to a close, but I do want to say again, guys, Sydney block producer here, GENEREOS, doing it really for the community. Incredible stuff. I think it's fantastic. We do have one more question right now from Max. If I buy EOS tokens now, let's say on Binance, are these real tokens? So, bit of background here. Obviously, tokens have been Binance and I think Bitfinex have come out to say that they will support the transition to the mainnet.
Yeah.
And these EOS tokens that are currently in Binance will automatically, and Bitfinex be automatically converted into mainnet tokens.
Yep.
So those tokens that are trading right now on Bitfinex and Binance, they are moving between different accounts, but I think they're locked. You can't withdraw the tokens.
That's
so
right.
what are they trading right now? What's going on?
So I think a lot of people might have heard news like, oh, the 10 top you know, EOS wallets, or there's like, you know, a large share of EOS that's controlled by 10 wallets, and essentially these are the exchanges. So I believe, you know, I can't speak for every individual exchange or any exchange really, but essentially to help this transition process, the exchanges would have moved all these tokens that their traders have purchased into a single or a few you know, Ethereum accounts and registered those. And so when you're seeing these large accounts, this is essentially the pool of EOS that was on the exchange. So all this trading that's occurring, you know, withdrawals are stopped, deposits are stopped. There's no cross-exchange, you know, trading going on. You're trading basically against other people who are members of that exchange. So, you know, when the snapshot's finalized, it's up to the exchange that they kept track that, you know, you had 100 EOS, I had 10 EOS, whatever, and then, you know, we had a trade, and they'll honor that on the snapshot because the exchange has the full EOS available, and then they'll just honor those trades that occurred, you know, in this interim. So they are trading on their sort of internal balance.
Okay, fantastic. Joel, did we have any other questions? We've got, we do. Wow, we are really on today. This is from Nathan on YouTube. How will the community decide what to do with the coins that are gone after the 24 hours? Will it be a voting system and options on the decision on what to do?
So which coins are those?
So the coins, I'm assuming...
The ERC20 ones?
Yeah, right. So that's decide what to do with the coins that are gone. Oh, right. So there's a 99.6. So I'm assuming it's the 0.4.
Oh, right.
Yeah, what happens to the 0.4?
So there's another...
Will it be the voting system and options on the decision on what to do? Oh, is this the... Or maybe it's also the extra 11... will there be a vote about the EOS... Let's talk about it. Might be answered two ways. So it's either the 11,000 tokens to launch the system or the 0.4. Let's talk about the 0.4 right now. What's happening with that?
Right. So as you said, there was a relatively small quantity that wasn't able to be associated with anyone. We expect this was either in-flight transactions when the snapshot was taken, or ERC20 tokens that were sent to a smart contract on Ethereum instead of to a individual's wallet. All those tokens are still safe. They'll be moved into a system unregistered account until the community can decide on a process to give these to their rightful owners. And so that's really up to the community how to deal with that. They are safe. We just don't know who they belong to because of the way Ethereum works.
Sounds like it's like Satoshi's wallet. Okay, so we're going to figure out how that goes. Okay, so and now the 11,000 tokens.
Right.
What's the vote there? What's happening?
So there was a vote just taken. It's being tallied. I don't know.
Did you vote just then?
I had.
Bam.
It's a great multitasker.
Yeah.
Votes out right now. Nathan, what's happening with the vote?
Well, I can take another look, but I think they're just trying to tally because there are a lot. They're trying to figure out how to accurately tally this. In previous cases, there was just enough sort of flow to show a clear vote, but because there's 200 participants in this chat, a lot of people who aren't actually block producers, and so their vote, isn't valid, and so they're trying to sort through that and make sure we have a fair decision.
But you've already voted. Can I ask? Are you a go or a no go? Can I ask that?
Well, we were
in the current proposal of there being 11,000.
We are happy to go with the proven method. We don't want to delay this and test methods that haven't been proven.
Right.
We've tested this method. We think the increase in inflation is very small for the benefactor gift that everyone's getting.
And you can change this inflation down the track anyway, right?
That's right. Yes, exactly. Okay. So there's protocols in place that down the branch we're gonna pull that back out of the system.
And with the obviously with the system and the voting process and things like that, I was gonna ask, is there like some mateship in the block producer group? Like some people are like, you're friends with them. Is there like a meetup or like, is there hangouts? Does everyone enjoy volleyball? Is this do we play chess or Connect 4? Or what?
We enjoy beverage with each other.
Beverage?
So we've met...
What's an EOS beverage these days?
Beer.
Yeah, beer is very popular. So we do meet up and collaborate and communicate with the other block producers. What's really great is everyone's really nice. I'm just really inspired by everyone because everyone's really nice and really helpful, and we try go out of our way to help the other block producer candidates as well. We've got some guys out in Perth, ESP, whom we're very close with, and we do technical and also help each other out with setting up venues and whatnot. Yeah, so yeah, really great community.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think there's a lot of groups that have worked together. I think in the coming days we'll see a lot of people sort of stating, like I said, you can vote for 30 producers. This isn't a one or none. So vote for the people you feel are really going to support this network. And I think we're going to see a lot of people coming out and saying, hey guys, obviously vote for us, but here's other people that have contributed massively to the community and we feel would be worth your vote.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We've got another question in from TJM on YouTube, asking, "Will EOS?" Thank you for your question, TJM, and thank you, Joel. Who was the other question from?
Nathan.
Nathan. That's right. Thank you, Nathan, for your question as well. That wasn't you, Nathan. Did you like?
No, I was like asking myself stuff.
TJM asks, "Will EOS be 1,500 transactions per second out of the gate?"
I think it's hard to say. I mean, various testnets have been running stress tests. I know For example, when Dan listed some preliminary testing on his laptop, he was able to hit up to 800 transactions per second. And we're running with slightly more robust architecture for the
relatively more robust. Like we're talking some heavy infrastructure.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Like just the best that Google, Amazon, anyone in the game can offer. And a lot of people are going to look at building their own data centers if this really moons out. So, but I think
good time to bring my
I think when the mainnet launches, people will be.
This is going to be EOS infrastructure. That's awesome.
We'll see. But I don't think we can really say. So guys, hit the system, hammer it hard, and let's see what we can do.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I'm really interested. I just wanted to ask, because I'm just trying to understand with Generos, you guys had seed funding. Are you looking for funding?
No.
Is there anything that you guys need? You need some seed funding? Do we need? We can talk about this afterwards, baby. Here's a conversation.
No, we're completely self-funded.
Oh, wow.
We got together on this sort of common drive to help the community, help charities that don't get the help they need, help bring transparency, because we often hear that there's a lot of overhead in existing charitable efforts and people want to see more money going straight to the people who actually need the help. And so that's what drives us. We're hoping to be primarily funded off these block rewards at this time, and we want to, if the ability is there, we want to give back as well to other DApp developers, incubate people in the community space. But if there's people out there who like what we're doing and want to get involved, please reach out to us.
Okay, and the best channel to reach out, guys, could you just, is it Twitter, LinkedIn? I know.
So we've got Twitter, LinkedIn, or email, so contact@generos.io.
Can you post the contact details, Joel, into the chat? So Twitter, what's the Twitter?
Generos Sydney.
Generos Sydney. LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, we're not on LinkedIn.
Not on LinkedIn.
No.
So look up Ty Tran.
I think we are.
Look up Nathan as well, and Generos. Guys, search it on LinkedIn. I'll post a post on LinkedIn also to ensure you can follow these guys because they're doing a great job. So Twitter, LinkedIn, is it an email address? Old school, but still seems to happen.
So contact@generos.io. So that's GENEREOS.
EOS.
And of course, our website.
And your website, obviously, generos.io.
.io.
Generos.io. Fantastic, guys. Okay, we might, unless there's another update on the vote,
I'll look.
Nathan, we might...
This has been a 2-hour call so far, so...
It has been. We have been going for quite a while now, which is... we seem to be moving. We seem to be moving. It could be breaking news again. This is a hot show. I think this is probably the hottest show we've ever had today. We did have a question yesterday.
Go, no go, vote's happening.
It's not happening?
It is happening.
It is happening.
The vote is actively happening.
Guys, the
I don't have a result, but it's happening.
Go, no, go launch vote is happening. I think we're going to have to stay on for this. Joel, can you post out a tweet? The go, no, go launch is happening, and we're broadcasting live. Put out a tweet, put it out on Facebook, guys. Share it with your friends. This is going to be big news. We'll keep you guys updated right here. I think we've got to keep recording. I don't think we can. I don't think we're going to keep broadcasting. I don't think it's possible to stop, guys. What do you think? Are you ready for this?
Work dependent.
Work dependent. We might have to go, and does that mean we're going to have to go? You guys are going to have to go straight and start producing blocks? No.
Yeah, that would be great.
No, obviously we need to launch potentially. What does it mean? What does that mean if it is a go?
So the process, if there's a go vote, is that the anonymous producer to generate the boot process will go live in a relatively quick period. All the block producing candidates are going to be provided the information how to connect to that network and do their own validations. That validation process will occur over a minimum of 12 hours. And then at the meeting, which would be now 10 hours from now, there will be a discussion whether everybody's happy to release that process to the public or whether we need additional time.
Wow. Okay, so this is pretty intense right now. Okay. In terms of so this launch process in 10 hours time, it could be live with EOS. Is that what we're saying here?
It could be. It
Live
could be.
in 10 hours time. EOS online. Wow, real code working on the internet. Interestingly, the price of EOS hasn't seemed to have moved right now. So this news hasn't spread far and wide as quickly as we could imagine. We're trading at $14.42 US currently. Just a quick update on the markets. Joel, if you just want to come back to my screen, I'll let Nathan do his bits and pieces while we do this. We're looking at Bitcoin still 7659, down 0.77%. Ethereum 605, down 1.37%. EOS is up today, still at 1442, up 3%. Litecoin down 1.79% to $120 US. Just scrolling down again, Stellar down to 0.2955 US dollars. IOTA at $1.68, down 2.21%. Nano is up and then down. Still, Monero down 3.35%. I'm not really sure why that is. Zilliqa seems to be taking an interesting turn, down 5.88%. Waves has gone up dramatically at 7.15%. And still, Sia Coin up 10.53% today. OMG down 4.94%. And we seem to be going, a lot of things are going, definitely looking a little more red today than we are looking green. Obviously, this EOS news is big news coming up, guys. So if there are any other questions out there, do send them in as well. But the markets do look, we're not moving dramatically right now. It's obviously small movements in the market. If Trader Cobb was here right now, he wouldn't actually care about the news. He'd be literally looking for an opportunity to trade, which is fantastic. While we are here, I just wanted, there was another terminology of the day while we wait for this go, no go vote is, what is a fork? What is a fork? Why, you know, what, Nathan, do you know what a fork is? Do you want to explain that?
Well, you eat with it.
I eat with it.
I need no chopsticks.
I use the old fork and hammer. This is the Thor hammer. What is a fork? So I might start kick off here if that's all right. Traditionally, when there is code written and there's a new direction or a new main direction a piece of code needs to go, in other words, it comes to a fork in the road. That code then might branch directly out to a different way. So this will make a major change in the code. An example of a fork could be like Litecoin, where they took the Bitcoin code, relaunched it, and changed it dramatically. In other words, they forked it, the entire code, put it over here, and they made an entire new system. So really, a fork can mean all sorts of things. Generally, it produces a new coin or a new blockchain. Some blockchains obviously have forks that are going on inside them. The proof of stake, if it was to happen on Ethereum, would be a major fork, and that would obviously change a lot of the dynamics. There might be some forks obviously on EOS as well in the future as to where the code goes and things that might happen, but it seems like the system has been quite well thought out for the future, and obviously that would be voted upon and things like that. Where you get worried, and what I would worry about, is forks that happen to coins that are just replications of other coins and hyped to be just as good. Watch out for those kind of coins. Don't believe the hype. Stick with the main ones if you can, because a lot of those are just pump and dump schemes. So really be careful about that. So that's what is a fork. Nathan, you seem to be smiling a lot right now. And I don't know if
you've explained the code fork very well. I think that the big thing the community wants to avoid is a community fork, where the code stays the same, but because of disagreements in philosophy or just impatience, that we get people trying to launch their own network.
Right.
And so that's something the whole community is dedicated to avoiding, that there's only one EOS mainnet.
Right, and that's obviously been definitely one of the things about Ethereum. It caused Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. It's been really interesting. We've been encouraged to keep going. Lily Campbell is telling us to keep it going. Keep it going, baby. My global head of PR, Michelle, has asked me to come out because I have to shoot another video. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I think we're going to have a vote. Are we
Too many votes.
We'll go with a vote with us three, and maybe we'll go from here. Should we keep going? Should we wait for the vote? Because the go no go is coming, guys. We're coming here. Share it with your friends. If we get enough viewers and subscribers to come in, we'll keep going. Share out the link. We're very close to a go no go decision. The votes are coming in. The votes are being tallied up as we speak. EOS vote live right now. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dogs, tell the blockchain, tell EOS. Call Dan. Tell him to come online as well. But seriously, I think we need to keep going. Ty, you all good? Are you feeling comfortable?
I'm feeling comfortable.
You feeling good? How are you feeling, Nathan?
I'm comfortable to keep going, but I'm just looking at the chatter here, and there was a go no go vote, and then they said we had to do a revote because there was a lot of noise in the channel. You know, there's a lot of spectators or interested parties joining these rooms, and I mean, EOS is an open ecosystem, and we want to be very transparent, but we don't want to muddy the waters with people who might not have the best interest of EOS, you know, at heart.
100%.
Muddling this up. So there's been some calls for revotes, some calls for, because this is a big decision. I think that's
well, it's a go no go.
Understated.
No, it's 100%. It's a go no go decision, which is really important. It's absolutely crucial. We've got to know and obviously get that correct. Really interesting right now that there is this noise, but I really love this commitment to this transparency, because a lot of people have been saying that EOS is not transparent. You know, and I've noticed personally that EOS tends to reply to its social comments really quickly. Dan is obviously publishing a lot. It seems like you guys are publishing a lot. You are obviously available. There are these meetups around the world. I've noticed that EOS Canada as well. I'm just I don't mean to be favoritizing anyone, but they seem to be very active as well.
Yeah, we're big fans of EOS Canada ourselves.
Okay, that's good. EOS Canada, shout out to you guys. Really cool. But they seem to be contributing quite a lot, and we talked about that yesterday on the show. Again, I'm really interested in this ongoing process of how EOS is going to keep functioning. Tell us what's some of the exciting things that you are most really looking forward to once we launch, and obviously we're starting to produce blocks. But what's the things that you're most excited about right now when it launches? What's the next thing to happen? You know, I think, is there a Ethereum to EOS converter or something like that, so you can take your token or your system over to EOS or something like that?
I imagine the exchanges will be happy to provide that service.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But
I mean, like, so if someone's
if you had an ICO on Ethereum and you wanted to migrate it to EOS,
right? You know, so I'm OMG or I'm and I'm running, or Golem, and I'm running on Ethereum, and I want to move over to EOS. Is there a converter or some sort of piece of software that moves the two? Like, does Solidity run on, which is the system, does that run on EOS?
No. The beauty about EOS is that you can use C++ to do the coding. So there's a bigger pool of talent to draw from. So you don't actually have to learn a specific language like Solidity.
Right.
I think ICOs or token providers, anyone who has a sort of ERC20 token, will have to follow a system similar to what we're doing right now. Basically, they will connect to the Ethereum network. They'll pull all the sort of token balances that exist on their Ethereum smart contract, and then they can inject that into their EOS smart contract.
Wow.
So that'll be up to the individual, token products to decide the best way to do that and to tell the community how they're going to achieve that. I don't think anyone's published a standard for that yet, but I think we can expect to see all those things in very quick time.
Okay, so some sort of converter between the two systems. Now, my next question I was going to ask, so we are going to throw to a little break, guys. We have got the founder of NEM talking about what NEM is. It is another blockchain, but just before we get to that, I want to say we are obviously still doing the go, no go vote. So we're just going to have a little break, guys. Have a check out this interview. Give us a moment. We're going to come back and I want to talk about token types because I know Ethereum's got ERC20, ERC781, ERC, which is the non-fungible token. You've got the Delaware Corporation and all those kind of things. I'm interested to talk about token types because I'm absolutely fascinated by that. But let's cut to this break. Give us a chance to regather and enjoy. This is from the CEO of NEM. He's coming at you. This is again an interview we did with him in London Blockchain Week. We'll see you guys right after that.
So you operate a model that uses miners, or as you call them, harvesters, harvesting. What's your reward scale? How does that work?
Well, this is something that we have to worry about because along with time, there has been a huge, substantial increase. In fact, in the last year, NEM increased by, I cannot remember the figure, but we were at least the number 1 or number 2 coin in the entire crypto space that has gone through a rocket rise, right? And this is something that is obviously a good problem, but the real thing is that at the end of the day, we had fixed fee, and the fee for every transaction could be very expensive if you see that it is going, all the way to the sky, sort of thing. So this is one thing that we really need to understand how we're going to actually do that in a better manner in the future. I'll give you an example. It was something like $25 per transaction in not too long ago, say 1 year, 15 months ago. But if we're going to have, if we are going to maintain that amount, it makes it too expensive to make any transaction. So we actually had to decrease the fee in accordance to its rise. So it's like an opposite reaction to its rise. So, and doing that is a bit cumbersome today, and we're thinking how we could automate that in the future.
All right, guys, we're back. Thanks so much for the NEM interview there, guys. We are just flagging that these guys have to go because they're going to do real work. Not actual fake white papers, real blockchain, real life stuff. Launching block producer, GENEREOS. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Nathan, Ty, it's been an incredible show. Do you want to give us an update on I don't know if you can or can't. We are in the middle of the go, no go vote. Tell us, Nathan, before we need to go, I was going to talk about token types, but you guys might need to jet as well. Tell us what's going on with the go, no go vote.
So I think we're looking at a really critical juncture here. The community's really pushing, like previous go, no go votes have been quite clear that they've been no because of the security concerns. Here, there's some minor issues that cause some local community members to want to delay. Other groups are ready to go. And so the big thing here is everybody wants these go votes to be legitimate. And so I think that's the discussion that's going on right now. Mm-hmm. So I wish we had awesome news, but right now everybody wants to make sure that if the consensus of block producer candidates is go, they don't want spectators coming in there and muddying the results. So I think we're going to have announcements online from the community within the hour what this decision was. And
what a letdown! I'm sorry, guys.
I know.
I thought we were going to have this for you.
I wish I had better news. I hate to be the bearer of
It's just
bad
a very big process, guys. We're talking like we're going to change the blockchain here, guys. Just be patient. We're obviously going to announce this on Finder. Do stay tuned with the Twitter at Crypto Finder. Do stay tuned. Obviously, every day we are going live with our TV show here, and appreciate you guys watching in. Guys, why don't we bring this to a close? Nathan, Ty, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on and explaining everything. Guys, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch, join us and subscribe to us on YouTube. Go to cryptofinder.tv. You can also go to finder.com.au or finder.com, depending on which country you're in, all around the world. And hopefully, EOS goes straight to the moon, baby. Thanks very much, guys.
Please vote Team Generous.
Team Generous, baby.
Team Generous.